Hi there, Taz Roro here, power connector, community builder, and real estate professional. I come to you today with sort of my analysis of life as a working parent for the past month or so, as a lot of you will relate to this. And I've kind of synthesized it into a few different parts, and I'm going to share sort of what's working for me, what I'm adjusting, in hopes that it'll also help you. So working from home and e-learning or homeschooling is not easy, as most of you are also experiencing. The working from home part itself, in and of itself, is challenging even before, school closure, before COVID and all of that, because especially, when we live with other people, as the most common challenge that I hear about, that I've experienced as well, and I talk to my friends in Sphere, is your physical presence is understood as you being available, right, to tap on, to ask questions, and that can be challenging. So I think creating some structure around it, flexible structure around it, it could mean having a conversation with kids who are older and can understand about, I'll have a break at this time, and at that time we can catch up, could work. Having similar conversations with other folks in the house could work. By the way, I've written a lengthy article on all of these, sharing in detail about what's working, what we've changed, and so I encourage you to check that out. I'll share the link for that later. The other is working space. So some of us may have had a desk space or even an office, but now that our kids are, learning from home and we're home, there may not be enough space. But it is important, even if it's not a whole room or a whole office, to have a dedicated working space, both for us and our kids, so that it's sort of, there's some level of structure and routine. It doesn't mean they need to be glued to it all the time, but it's just helpful to have, their e-learning materials, their computers, and, printouts and things like that there, so that they associate that space with schoolwork. Routine, as most of you may have seen, that as soon as school closures were being announced, there were a lot of sample schedules being thrown around, and I was one of those who were excited and saving and customizing. It is helpful to have a level of structure and some control, but I will say that based on my experience, and I'm a planner too, there's a lot of flexibility with that. It's helpful to have it, but really every day is different. That's really the only way I can say it. There are days when and I've shared this in some of my social media posts, that my older one, who's 8, that kind of really started this week, honestly, would get up and open his computer and start work. There are days when I'm having to encourage him to finish his work, and there's a lot of frustration, and I feel like I'm not being productive. There are other days when I feel like I am being productive and energetic, and it's beautiful outside. It's just a good day overall. There are days when we're doing schoolwork till 8 p.m. or I'm doing work till 1 a.m. They're just very different days, and I think the key here, as well, it's helpful to have a routine, is to expect to be flexible around it. Screen time is another big one for us, right? So I think everyone is concerned about that, especially parents who are not big on giving their kids screen time. One thing I did is really invested time in finding out about programs and events and activities, whether it's book reading, art activities online, live streams. So, and then kind of work those into the schedule, the template schedule, so that when they are on the screen, I feel less guilty about what they're watching. Because at the heart of it all, it's like, okay, what are they consuming? What is that doing for their development, right? So if I know what they're watching, and that bonus, they can learn something from it, I feel better about that. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. And I have to say, when I have to record videos, or when I have to have, video meetings for an hour or two, I may use screen time if that's the only way I have less anxiety, or I feel secure that I'm not going to get interrupted. On the flip side, there's plenty of times when we're doing things one-on-one. Maybe we're taking a bike outside, a walk outside. I actually I picked up yoga fairly recently. I practiced that with my son. So we do balance it out, but there's no typical day, is the point. E-learning. Now, this is different for different group age groups, but something that has helped me, and I kind of like change things up week by week based on what my older son is doing, right? So for example, the first week or so, he kept asking me to log back into the computer, the family computer that he was using, because password kept logging him out. Well, I knew to create a profile under his name, under his own password, because I just couldn't. And that really helped, right? And I would find that sometimes maybe he's not focused, sometimes he's focused for a long period of time. So again, going back to being flexible and kind of, as much as possible, designing the day around them as feasible as possible. I realize that's not easy for everyone to do. Home. I have 2 boys. That means tons of energy in the house normally, much less when there's a stay-at-home order. So I have learned to really just let them be and let them do their thing, and you'll be surprised how creative they are in the activities that they come up with. I mean, I live, you know, in a 1-level condominium. There's not a whole lot of external place to go to, and my kids have come up with ideas like you know, doing hiking inside and all these things. And so I learned to just let things go and not be a clean freak. I'm gonna see a trail of clothing on the hallway, and that's okay. That's their way of being creative and engaging themselves. Emotional well-being is another big one, right? So there's a lot that we worry about as parents. There's a lot that we worry about our kids. Like separation anxiety is one for me, for example. My 3.5-year-old may have that challenge when he goes back to daycare. That's him knocking right now. And so, you know, we deal with that just by talking it out with other parents, maybe in a local moms group. It just helps to kind of compare notes and see what everyone is feeling and what they're doing about it. And then, you know, find adult time is while it's great to spend so much time with our kids, it's a lot on the mind, right? It could deplete our batteries. And so I think it's important to find some adult time as well, whether that means on the screen or, you know, with folks that we live in. So, you know, these are just some of the highlights. There is a very detailed article on this. You can find it on tezroro.com. That's tezroro.com, and I'd love to get your feedback on what you think. The other is, I promised that I would come to you with some real estate related tip on a regular basis. So something that I'm starting to offer is a virtual home enhancement consult. What does that mean? We get on a screen, it could be FaceTime, it could be Zoom, and you give me a tour of your home. And technically this could work for anywhere, really. It doesn't have to be local since it's virtual. And I can give you tips on low cost enhancements that you can implement either now, if possible, more DIY projects, or maybe think about what you can do in the future, right? So I offer this service in the physical world where we could see each other, where I would go tour homes and give them ideas on just simple things they can do to, you know, really spruce up the property and give it value. So I can do that. There will be an appointment link on this page on Facebook if you're watching this here. There will also be opportunities to do so on my website, tezroro.com. So that's what I have for you today. So check out the article on tezroro.com. Book a complimentary video home enhancement consult. It's a great way to use your time at home. And yeah, if you found this helpful, share it with others, tag others. If there's some certain things you're wondering about that you want me to talk about, feel free to let me know. And yeah, I wish you well. Thank you for watching.